Hello, this video will perform a tutorial for entering stats into the LeagueStats software for hockey. This is our website to administer that, admin.leaguestats.com/login. It will take you to this site. We're going to log in as a scorekeeper. The login for scorekeepers are similar to your DAC login. So for Augustana, it's ACA 1000 at ACAC. And then our password is the same password for DAC as well. The only difference is for LeagueStats, it's the login is ACA 1000, similar to DAC. Then we always have a at our organization at ACAC. Once we logged in, it will take us to the dashboard, and on the dashboard is the scorekeeper button. Next thing that comes up is the schedule for the leagues. Schedule games will show up 2 days before the game. So if there's a game this upcoming Friday, it won't show up until the Wednesday. Past games will show up as long as they're not finalized. So you could always go back and edit or correct any stats as long as the games aren't finalized. Once a game is finalized, the stats are locked in, and you won't be able to see any previous games in this little schedule here. So we use this as an example. This is a game back from last year's playoffs. You would click on the game that you're editing or entering stats. Click on that. This warning is just telling you that you're entering scores or stats into a game that isn't today. Okay, so this screen has a couple things. There's 5 tabs here. On the top right corner is an overall score. Top leftish is the period and the game status. So before game, it's always pre-game. When we are recording stats during the game, we would switch this to in progress. Once a game is done, we would change the status to unofficial final. Once it is unofficial final, it will still appear in the schedule list that we just had. Once it's finalized and all the stats are correct, or we assume are correct, we can set the status to final, and then this game will not appear on that list of scheduled games. This clock here always counts up, so the first period always starts at 00. At the end of the first period, it should be first period 20-minute mark. At the end of the game, it should have, this clock counts down. So it starts from the 20-minute mark and counts down to similar to hockey scoreboard in North America. This counts down to 0-0 in the third period. So at the end of the game, you would see third period, unofficial final, and 0-0. There's a number of publish buttons here, publish or links on here. Publish is similar to saving. So whenever you're changing information, hit the publish button, it will save that information. We'll just start with the tabs and move across. So all the red tabs are just minor details of the game. Visiting team is McEwen, their head coach. Pick their head coach who's coaching that game. Same thing for Augustana. Pick their coach for that game. You could change a number of these and then hit publish, and that will save all the information as a batch. Under the game, you guys are playing at, this is the venue. The game start, say 7 o'clock, and roughly once the game's done, just put the time for the game is done. Your attendance level, you can put your attendance level. Once all that's set, hit anyone to publish, and it will save it. Next tab is the lineup. So this will be your next thing you do. The rosters have a limit of 20 players on your lineup. If you go above 20, it will give you another warning. If you're below 20, it will give you a similar warning to this that you're less than 20 players. Click on Add Player. This will have the whole lineup that's set by your team manager or the team manager, so McEwen's team manager. Everything's defaulted as checked, so if I add selected players, it will add all the ones checked. If all the ones aren't in there, uncheck the players, the hockey players who are not playing during that game. If a player doesn't have this right jersey, say Brendan Miller here, he's wearing, say, number 8 for this game instead of number 9, you can switch it here. This will temporarily change his jersey to number 8 for this particular game. You add to selected, so 24 and 27 aren't selected, so if I add selected, it will add everybody but 24 and 25 into this roster. So as you can see, it gives us a warning here. There was 21 players listed on, and it should be maximum of 20. To remove a player, I can pick the one that's not in this game. Say Chad Coulombe's not playing, just hit the waste paper basket beside his name. And that will remove number 11, Chad Coulombe. And now on the top here, there is no warning. You can also change the jersey number here. So say Zachary Scram was wearing jersey 24 instead of 23. Change his number. Hit publish. That will save his information. There's at least 2 goalies. You'll need this for the goalies under the scoring tab later on. So always 2 goalies. Check the ones that will be goalies for the game. And you can put your 5 starting players for the game as well. And then hit publish. And you can do the same thing for the home team. Hit add players, list of players, uncheck the ones that aren't playing, add selected players. There'll be a list of players in that game. Again, there's a warning. I've entered 21 players out of the maximum 20. Find the one that isn't playing. You can remove them. Now there's 20 players. Just remember there's 2 goalies. David Ritz here is actually a backup goalie. So just uncheck him if he's actually playing in the game. He's not a backup goalie. There should be only 2. Again, you get to highlight the 5 starting player. Hit publish to save. Okay, that's a lineup. If there is a player that's not listed on here, you either have added him too late. Players need to be added to your roster 2 days ahead before they show up on this list. If they haven't been added, you need to contact Anthony at the ACAC office to change his add date. You can try to add a new player here, but he may not appear in the game. Okay, so I added myself to this game prior to. So if I just want to add him, unchecked everybody else, add him to my roster. Now I should have 21 again. See, I'm going to remove Harrison. He wasn't playing in the game. So now there's 20. The third tab is penalties. So whenever a penalty happens in a game, um, you can pick what period it was in. The player number. The top box is the visiting team. The bottom box is the home team. So say number 12 got a penalty, what the penalty was. And scroll down. Say the tripping. All this time is, all other times are counting down or counting upwards from the first period. So the game clock is always counting down. So third period is 0-0, counting down to third period 0-0. All other times will count up, meaning if I got this penalty in the 12-minute mark of the first period, I'm going to put 12 minutes. PP is a power play resulting from the penalty. If there's a penalty shot, you can click as a penalty shot, but you won't get a power play out of that. And you're going to put in the time that the penalty started. So at the 12-minute mark. So when he comes back on, it should be at the 14-minute mark. Press publish to save. So now I've saved that penalty for Matthew Rood for tripping at 12 minutes, came off the ice and back on. For the game clock here, you could always update it during the middle games. You could constantly update it to show the scores, to show the time. So during the middle game, I might put 15 minutes, publish. If nothing happens, I may update it later on. 19 minutes, update, so that the people on the web can see that it's slowly counting down. Okay. Sorry, this should be 15 minutes, and then later on in game, this game clock counts down. It should be, say, 13 minutes left. And then even later, 11 minutes left. And say that the start of the third period would be 20 minutes. Then as the game progresses, you may count down. Back to the penalties. Excuse me. If you've made a mistake with the penalties, you could always edit them. On the far right hand side, there is a waste paper basket. You can click it to delete the penalty, or you can hit the pencil and paper little icon so you can edit the penalty. If you hit that, it will bring up that penalty again. Say it was Crook that got the penalty, and the penalty was a 2-minute minor instead of tripping. You could edit that, hit publish to save. Next part is scoring. So whenever a team has made a score, has scored a goal, whoever scored the goal, so the visiting team's on top, the home team's on the bottom. So if I scored a goal in the first period, again, so this is a time, it counts upwards from 0 to 20. So in the first period at the 15-minute mark, I may have gotten a goal. You can specify the type of goal as empty net, power play, shorthanded, empty net shorthanded, or empty net power play. If it's just a normal goal, it's just a type, and then hit publish. Sorry, that one didn't save, so I'll go first period, 15-minute mark. Sorry, yeah, I didn't click on the goal. The goal was made by, say, Jared Crooks. An assist from, say, 21, and another assist from Chris Stew. Then hit publish. And now in the first period, at the 50-minute mark, 50 minutes into the game, number 15 Crooks got a goal with assists from 21 Werberg and 5 Stew. Similar to the penalties, if I need to edit, if I had any of these wrong, I need to edit the stat, I can click on a pencil and paper. Say the time was 15:25 into the first period. The type, still a normal goal. If it's a normal goal, it's just type. But say David Way had an assist instead of the other guy. Hit publish to save. And then now you save the game. Just a reminder that this time, all the times count upwards, and the game clock on the top left counts downwards. And you'll see here that if I put in another goal, say they got another goal at 35 seconds right after, so at the 16-minute mark, say Starnza got a goal, assist from Stu, an assist from Rube. Publish that. So you can tell that this sorts it upwards. So 15:25 is the first goal, and 16 mark is the second goal. So that's why all these times count upwards, and the only time that counts downwards is the game clock in the top left corner. Okay, similar to penalties, if I put another penalty here, say in the first period, to Paul, another 2-minute minor. He came off at say the 16-minute mark. Power play out of it, 16. Came back on at 18-minute mark. Publish that. So there you can see that the penalties are in order, and the clock counts upwards to keep that in order. Back to scoring. So on the left side is the scoring, the goals and assists. Bottom left is the goals, assists for the home team. On the right hand side is the goaltenders stats. So whoever started the game, say Dallas Hungarian, number 30. This is how many saves he had. So not how many shots, it's how many saves. So say Dallas got 20 saves in the first period, 15 in the second, and 10 in the third. He started the game in the first period. So again, this counts up. It's a clock. 0-0. And he ended the game in the third period at 20-minute mark. You could edit. Say Dallas maybe had 21 saves instead of 20. You can edit any of the information and then press publish, and it will save the goaltending stats for Dallas Hungarian. So I changed that to 21, and it's saved. For two goalies, say Joel Daniluk started the game. He had 5 saves, and then he got pulled off. So he started the game at 0-0. Say he got pulled off with 5 minutes left. So this clock counts up. And then if Joel Daniluk got pulled, then say Paul came in the first period. He had maybe no saves, 20 and 15. So we came on in the first period at the 15-minute mark because Joel came off at the 15-minute mark. And Paul played the remainder of the game. So 20 minute mark. Hit publish to save the information. So that's how you would handle if there was two goalies. If a goalie was pulled, for example, if Paul Kalita was pulled, say with 18 at the 18-minute mark, 18:53, so a minute and 7 seconds left in the last period, that's how you would handle a goalie that was pulled near the end. If a goalie was pulled at the end and say McEwen had scored, so in the third period at say 18:55, because Paul Kalita was pulled the goalie at 18:53, and say the other team scored at 18:55. So my new goal from McEwen was third period at 18:55. Now the goal would be an empty net goal because Paul Kalita was pulled. I would specify who got it and any assists, and then hit publish. So now you would have EN here for an empty net goal. We don't do anything for penalty shots in the shootouts. We no longer have shootouts. So you can disregard the last two bottom parts. So the tabs that we had was the official tabs. Officials tab was basically general game information. The lineups is where you put in your roster for players for that game. The penalties is when you record penalties for each team. Scores, record the goals, assists, and the goalie stats. There is a plus minus. We don't use it. Some schools do, but if you click on plus minus, you can specify who was on the ice when that person scored. So if I were to edit, say, this first goal, I can click on plus minus for the home team, select the two other players that are on the ice, and those people would get a plus minus. And then the other team minus would be who was on the ice when the other team, when McEwen had scored. And those five would record a score. It's not mandatory. Some schools do it. Sometimes it's very hard to realize who's on the ice when a lot of things are happening. There is, on the top right here, there is a on-screen help. You can switch that to on. It will give you a little bit of tool tips. So just click on the off and it will switch over. Now you can see that the tooltip is on. To the left of that is a game report. You can click on the game report and it will open up all the details of your game. So you can see that McEwen had 2 penalties that we entered, who was in goal, roster, the goals. So this is a good checks and balance to check. This should be similar information or identical information to what you have on your hard copy score sheet. Again, at the end of the game, unofficial final should be third period 0-0 once we're done. So you can leave it unofficial final up until over the weekend, until somebody, say Monday, comes in to check your work or make sure the stats are correct. Once you are sure the stats are correct, you can switch it to final, publish it, and you will have an official final. Okay. You can always go back to the game schedule On the top right corner, there's a game schedule here. So if you need to edit several stats, and if there's a list of games that you need to edit, so you can change from one game to the next. Okay. And that's it. If you have any questions, you can contact Anthony at the ACAC office with your password as well. You can contact him with your password for your scorekeepers and game officials. Thank you very much.